One of the actual threats to Nigeria's security is the alarming rate of illicit drug trafficking. The menace of this act poses heinous threats to human lives, national development and security. Most of the Nigerian borders are porous due to such prevalence, therefore giving room for easy influx, movement and the exit of narcotics, especially the infiltration of drug cartel careers. Nigeria is battling with high level of corruption and the get-rich-quick syndrome among youth in the country, who constitute a majority of those behind the practice of illicit drug trafficking and, of course, abuse. The country is still being greeted with a barrage of news of Nigerians, mostly youths, who are arrested while attempting to traffic hard drugs such as cocaine, heroin, ecstasy, designer drugs, cannabis, tramadol, and meth, of course, among others, within and outside the country via air travel. A report by the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime in Nigeria in 2022 indicated that 14.4%, that is about 14.3 million of people aged between 15 and 64 years, abuse drugs. On the program today, we will focus on Nigeria's breakthrough in the war against illicit drugs. I am your carrier, Clinton, and this is Nigeria Today. Welcome. Joining me in the studio is Hope Umiza, National Coordinator, Vanguard Against Drug Abuse. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Also in the studio is Chuks Akamadu, President, Center for Ethical Rebirth among Nigerian youths. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you so very much for having me.
I'll start with you, Hope. You are the coordinator of Vanguard Against Drug Abuse. Can you please share the experience, your experience with us on the journey so far? What has it been like trying to wage war against drug abuse?
Well, it's been something we could refer to as a Herculean task. But by the grace of God, today the society is beginning to change posture with respect to our position to drug abuse and trafficking. And then today we have an agency who is saddled with the responsibility of drug demand supply, drug demand reduction, and other areas of drug control. And we all can testify to the fact that they've been doing their very best in putting the agency in spotlight of excellent performance. Beyond that too, they have also been able to bring together various NGOs, CSOs who are working in the field against drug abuse and even mental health. And I must say, I know there is a lot to say moving forward, but I must say at this point that the paradigm has, it has shifted, okay, to what used to be a very difficult one, to a form of acceptability in the community, that drug abuse is a war for all. And especially with the recent campaign launched by the NDLA, WADA, War Against Drug Abuse, it has gained acceptability, it has gained inclusiveness, and that has changed the narrative in the campaign against drug abuse.
Thank you very much. Chuks, I know as much as you're the president of Center for Ethical Rebirth among Nigerian youth, you're also a legal practitioner.
Yeah.
Looking at it from the angle of the law, how effective has it been, in the fight against drug abuse and illicit drugs?
Well, I think that the NDLA Act might not be a perfect document. We actually don't have perfect documents when it comes to statutes, but that body of laws is good enough to the extent that it essentially addresses our drug demand reduction and drug supply reduction aspirations as a society. That said, again, I would also say that it's a good thing that we now have the National Drug Control Master Plan in place. The National Drug Control Master Plan is one document that has come to effectively complement the written words in our NDLA Act. But beyond all of this, I think we owe a debt of gratitude to the current leadership of the NDLA. I say so because if you look at what is happening at the moment, you'll find that issues of drug trafficking and drug abuse have come to the front burner. It now dominates public discourses here and there. What does that show us? It shows us that we now have renewed commitment on the part of NDLA to fight this battle and win it eventually. Because before the advent of the Marwa-led NDLA, we didn't have all of this news concerning seizures, major seizures, arrests, prosecutions, and then convictions. So it meant that before they came in, this current leadership of NDLA, these things were happening under our very noses, and we did not know. Now, when you look at it from one angle, it looks like, oh, our society is descending. I don't think our society is descending. Rather, I think that our society is witnessing rescue. Because that which had hitherto been hidden from the public glare is now unveiled. We are able to come to terms with the reality that drug abuse and illicit trafficking have come to stay in our society, that our society is actually vulnerable, that our young people, our women, even the elderly are all involved in this whole menace. Now, as a people, it's a good thing that we now have an agency that is alive to its responsibilities, and they are doing all they can to ensure that this drift is arrested. Then that's on the one hand. Then on the other hand, you can also see that the awareness is increasing by the day as regards the role the family unit, religious organizations, educational institutions, even the traditional institutions will have to play. The community, all of us must come together. Everybody is now beginning to realize that we are actually stakeholders in this whole thing, that the war against drug abuse and illicit trafficking is not an exclusive task for the NDLA or NAFDAC. Now everybody's beginning to realize, everybody's beginning to realize that we all have roles to play. Even the armed forces, you will find that the armed forces, the police, there's this growing awareness that, oh, we all have to come together to see how we can join forces to arrest this drift first and then reverse the trend so that our society can become sane again.
Okay, now Hope, from what you said the paradigm has actually shifted. There's a growing awareness. But you also agree with me that quite a lot of youth out there have, in fact, we are now coming, will I say we are at the danger of seeing the use of certain drugs, illicit drugs, as normal. For instance, the cannabis. Some youth among, a lot of youth feel, oh, they'll tell it's medicinal. Oh, this is this. It is better than this. So tell us, what are the, will I say, the consequences? Because it's good you draw that, point that out, bring that to the front burner so that they will understand the dangers of these drugs and how it affects, the human person.
Okay, you see, like Mr. Kamado said, when an awareness is built up concerning a particular societal issue, it may appear initially as if the society is descending, but that's not the case really. It is that issues that were not discussed before now, they are being discussed and they are being made a matter of importance. Now, so before now, many individuals across the country have always seen cannabis as a natural herb given to us by God and should be consumed with reckless abandon. Now, so with the awareness that stemmed up in 2018, 2019, and the campaign to legalize marijuana for medical purposes, now that's which my organization took part in doing a national research to look into the perceptions of Nigerians with legalizing marijuana, and then we also had a conference to that effect. Now, we began to understand that, see, Nigerians also know I'm not quoting out of maybe an abstract thinking. I'm quoting out of an investigation we carried out. Okay, and we discovered that most Nigerians are saying that this is not safe for us. Now, you may want to respect the opinions of most Nigerians, because they are saying or stating their opinions out of their experiences with drug use behaviors, especially cannabis that is being discussed now. So the effect is not about an individual. It cuts through the individual, the family, the society, career, work relationships, and other facets of living. So if you want to discuss fully today the consequences of any drug of abuse, you may not live here. But okay, first of all, for a human being, we've had people who had to drop out of schools or because of their drug use behaviors. We've had people who got into very risky behaviors that claimed their lives. We've had people who took other people's lives because of their use of drugs. We've had people who could not function normally at place of work, became redundant and became unproductive because of the use of substances. Now, this is other obvious issues that can be seen, but then the health issues too. We've had people having to go through dialysis that they wouldn't have probably gone through because they abuse drugs. We've had clients who, had been to hospitals because of their use of drugs that led them to failures of organs. When I mean organs, I'm talking about their kidneys, I'm talking about their livers, and in fact, the obvious one, the brain. Now, the manifestations they exhibit are clear suggestions that these drugs affect their brains. And three key component areas that have been affected: the cognition, the behavior, and their sense of judgment. And so you see somebody who has taken marijuana, for example, and you start looking for his shoes that is on his foot. Where are my shoes? He's holding his phone and he's saying, who carried my phone? Let me call my number to find my phone. So that tells you that these have impaired judgment. Okay, as simple as this may look, we can't imagine the burden this brings to the family that this person belongs to. We can't imagine the community that is disenfranchised from the productivity of this person that is taken away by the drug use behavior. So again, we need to also understand that most people will tell you it's not everybody that use drugs that eventually come down with complications and consequences. You never know which percentage you will fall into. Of course, research has it that about 10 to 15% of those who use drug are likely to come down with a problematic drug use disorder. Now, but even if it's 1% of those who use drug, you will never know which percentage you will fall into, which is why you shouldn't even give it a try in the first place. And one person in a family of 100 members with a drug use problem, you need to know the burden that brings. I'm not talking about the depression, the anxiety. I'm also looking at the financial commitment they have to put in to rehabilitate that person. My organization is into treatment of drug use, people suffering from drug use disorders. And I know how much they have to pay to get one person treated. If the US tells you how much they spend on treating one person in a year, you will open your mouth and wow. Okay, so these are the things that people need to put in perspective before they ever think of using or joining a group of friends or succumbing to pressure, or because my boss shouted at me, I'm being stressed up, and then engaging or indulging in drugs. So these are the things that must be put on the front burner in discussing the consequences. The families, the society, the person as an individual, they are all being affected by the drug use behavior.
Thank you. Let's pause here for a break. Please don't go away. We'll be back.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow, under digital economy, for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different?
We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Welcome back. It's still Nigeria Today. My guests are still here. Two gentlemen are here with me to discuss the issue of how breakthrough in war against illicit drugs. Now, Chooks, earlier you mentioned what the NDLEA have been doing in respect to this, the drug trafficking and, the abuse also. Now, if you look at like you rightly mentioned, we've been having quite a lot of, like in May this month, we had the NDLEA intercepting meth weighing 30.10 kg, worth 567 million in value. If you look at it, that's among just one out of so many.
Yeah.
We have cocaine, we have cannabis, and the rest of them. What millions? And you see, if you look at it, you see that these drug trafficking has become somewhat lucrative. Now, do we have enough punitive measures to deter potential offenders from, these heinous crime or acts?
Yes, I think we have punitive measures. The NDLEA Act is very clear on punishments that offenders would eventually face. Talking about this illicit trafficking and drug abuse in the society, I've always argued that the best way to win this war is for us to dissipate more energy on drug demand reduction. Because if we are able to prevail on the citizenry to refrain from doing drugs, then the market will die naturally. You have this trade booming because consumption is there. The demand is growing. So what are those factors that make the demand grow? These are issues that we should begin to ask ourselves. What are those factors that predispose our teeming youths to taking drugs, illicit drugs, very harmful drugs that will hurt them, hurt their health, hurt their family cohesion, eventually make them vulnerable to things that spread wider to now constitute security challenges in the society? Because it's not just about them. The immediate past NDLEA boss had cause before he left office to say that drug abuse and illicit trafficking actually fuel terrorism. And that is true. Most of these things we are witnessing across the length and breadth of this country today as regards insecurity, they are all, one way or the other, fueled by drug abuse and illicit trafficking. So how do we mobilize the requisite critical mass to prevail on the society, to realize that it's in our enlightened corporate interest as a people to stay away from this? The moment the demand goes down, I think the market will begin to disappear. Why? Because supply will no longer be there. Because I'm really, really alarmed each time our NDLEA releases figures as regards seizures and all of that. And I'm like, come on, it really means that quite a lot of people around me that I don't know are into this. Who are the ones consuming this? How come they have the funds to consume this? Because they are quite expensive drugs and all of that. How come they have funds to do this, but they don't have funds to start entrepreneurial experiments that could get them established and they earn decent wages and all of that? And that's why, for me, I think that just as President Buhari, when he came into office and he had cause to say, if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill us. I think that those of us who are active players in the war against drug abuse should begin to get ready to tell the incoming administration that they should make it a priority and let Nigerians know that indeed, if we don't kill drug abuse and illicit trafficking, this twin evil would actually consume all of us.
Okay, Chooks raised an issue. He said the factors that lead people, that contribute to them, going into the drug use. Can you please tell us some of these factors that could, necessitate the youths going into, especially the youths, because it's not just though it's not just the youth, the elderly are also in it, but we have predominantly the youth in this act. So what are some of these factors that you think, and how can do you think these factors, these causes can be curbed?
Okay. Now the factors which, as he said, we would love to refer to them as risk factors, not that they are the cause of drug use behavior, because they're the same factor, the same reason why an individual will choose to use drug is the same reason why an individual will choose not to use drug and be productive or prove a society wrong. Now, for example, some individuals may have said, oh, peer influence. I had friends who said, if I don't do this, I'm not like any of them. So they want to take it because they want to feel among their peers. It could also be some people who have low self-esteem and then have low confidence quotient. And then I've had clients tell me, if I can't talk in public, I can't even greet someone, hello, good morning, good afternoon, if I'm not on a particular drug. And if he has to be murdered, accused for murdering someone, and he has to be murdered for that, he will prefer to be murdered than even speak up. He was that timid. Now, so you see, there are individuals with organic psychiatric illnesses, if you like, mental illnesses. But because of this way society stigmatizes those who try to volunteer information about their mental hygiene and well-being, they tend to, recoil to themselves and indulge in illicit substances that they were advised by friends, if you take this, you'll be able to speak up. And so instead of continuing to let people know that this is what I'm facing, I need care, I need support, I need a therapist, they rather want to take to what their friends have told them, just take this substance, you will be bold, just do this, you'll be bold. So over time, people with this low self-esteem, people who also suffer organic mental illness like depression, it can be mild to severe, people suffering from sleep disorders, people suffering from poor body image, dysmorphic disorders. If somebody is you tell you, my tummy is too big, I don't even want to go out. So that desperation, that's unhealthy desperation to lose weight by force. There are people who will tell you, if you take a particular drug, you lose weight. It's a tummy blaster. A whole lot of things. And then there are some reasons why that I may not be able to mention here. But then again, we also need to look at critical statement being made in homes, because again, the family is the unit of the society. So we need to begin to look at how parents, address their children. I've told parents who come to my office and say, see, it's okay that you love your children, but you must also respect them. You love them, you can do everything possible for them, but lack of respect for them make you talk to them in manner that they won't come to you when they need advice, and so they will go to their peers who will give them the wrong advice. So there must be that family cohesion, nurtured not just by love but by mutual respect. And so if your children cannot come to talk to you, they have their peers to talk to who will give them wrong advices. So all of these things, I've had a patient who told me that my friends betrayed me, doctor. I said, what do you mean? He said, they told me if I do this, if I take this drug, I'll be fine. They never told me that I will need to be in rehab to get freedom. So these are some of the reasons why drug use may have festered in society. However, like Mr. Kamadu have said again, it is important that we lay emphasis on drug demand reduction. I've always given an analogy. I share the same thought with him. And the analogy is simple. No matter how wealthy a businessman is, no matter how interested or how passionate he is about a particular business, if there is no demand for that business, he won't risk his money. So if we are able to cut down the demand for these substances, then the supply issue may just be on the low. Now, because again, as far as there is demand for it, what the dealers are just going to do is to increase the cost of it. And someone who is addicted, and addiction simply means the person is under the control of that substance. He's not the person controlling the use of the substance, it's the substance controlling his use of the substance. So he's going to do anything possible. If you like, take it to 10,000 naira from 4,000 naira, he will look for money to buy it. If it means selling his property, if it means stealing, We've had several people brought in after mob attack because they went to steal a particular property that wasn't theirs. We've had people brought in from police custody into the rehabilitation center. So all of these things are important, you know, to look at as we pursue the war against drug abuse.
I really wish we can continue because there's still much to be said on this topic, but I'm afraid this is how far we can go. And that's it on Nigeria today. Appreciation goes to our guests. We had Hope Umeza, the National Coordinator, Vanguard Against Drug Abuse. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
We also had Chuks Akamadu is the President, Center for Ethical Rebirth among Nigerian youth. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts.
It's my pleasure to be here.
And to our viewer, thank you so much for always being part of this. Remember, the program Nigeria Today airs weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also watch this and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am the carrier, Lindsay. Thanks for being part of this. Bye.